An update on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial. The prosecution drops more witnesses for the article of impeachment on grave threats. Vice President Sara Duterte opposes the prosecution's move to subpoena her and her husband's bank and tax records, as well as an AMLAC report. A mother whose identity was allegedly stolen and used to build a POGO is set free after 21 months in detention. American marine biologist Kent Carpenter is shot dead in his home in Sibulan, Negros Oriental. And actress Bea Alonzo marries Puregold heir Vincent Co. The prosecution of Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial drops more witnesses for the article of impeachment on grave threats, including the sheriff punched by Duterte. This comes after the prosecution dropped the Vice President's Chief of Staff, Zulaika Lopez, as a witness. The prosecution lays out whom they are dropping and why. Sheriff Abe Andres is dropped because lead prosecutor Jinky Luistro says both parties already acknowledged that the 2011 incident of Duterte punching Andres did happen. Journalists Mikhail Flores and Bons Magsambol are dropped, with Luistro saying NBI agent John Mark Calilong's testimony already proves the authenticity of the video of Duterte's threats against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. A PNP Firearms Office representative was dropped because Luistro claims the government showed it already took Duterte's threat against Marcos seriously. Meantime, the prosecution also drops a family member of a victim of Duterte's threat because NBI Regional Director Jeremy Lotok already testified that the threat is a private crime. A psychiatrist is also dropped as a witness because both parties already established the circumstances surrounding the authenticated video. Meantime, lead defense lawyer Sheila Sison says lengthy manifestations on dropping of witnesses should not be inserted with conclusions.
If the only intent really is just to withdraw witnesses, and perhaps it would better serve the purpose of aiding the speedy disposition of this case if that fact alone will, be the only thing that will be mentioned without factual assertions or conclusions of facts or even interpretations of the law.
Vice President Sara Duterte opposes the House prosecution's move to subpoena her and her husband's bank and tax records, as well as an Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC report. This after the House prosecution team asked the Senate impeachment court to compel the release of these records as part of the evidence. The second article of impeachment alleges that Duterte should be convicted over her alleged unexplained wealth stemming from alleged discrepancies between her bank records and her declared statements of assets, liabilities, and net worth or SALN. In a 32-page memorandum, Duterte's defense team argued the requests for the subpoenas are allegedly against the law, saying these violate the right of the respondent and her spouse to due process. The defense said due process must be present in the entire impeachment process, citing the 2025 Supreme Court ruling that halted the impeachment process at the time. Duterte's lawyers also said her financial, banking, and tax records from periods outside her public service are irrelevant to the impeachment case. Citing RA 11521, the lawyers also argue absolute confidentiality exists in the AMLAC reports, analyses, and related documents. For her part, Duterte argues the prosecution cannot compel her to produce her bank records as this will be a violation of the right to bank secrecy. On her husband Manasseh Carpio's bank record, Duterte's lawyers argue that Carpio's marriage to her does not mean his records should also be subject to disclosure. On Wednesday, July 15, the Senate impeachment court goes into a caucus to decide whether to grant the House's request for the issuance of subpoenas. The consensus, they will vote on whether to issue the subpoenas Monday, July 20. A mother whose identity was allegedly stolen and used to build a company linked to a Philippine offshore gaming operator is finally free, at least for now. This after nearly 2 years in detention after a Pasig court ordered the reduction of her bail. Merly Joy Castro was released on Tuesday, July 14 after posting a reduced bail of 180,000 pesos and spending 21 months in jail. She was among the accused in the qualified human trafficking charge that stemmed from pogos related to Alice Go's Pogo in Bamban, Tarlac. Castro surrendered to authorities on October 8, 2024 after her indictment. In 2025, the court acquitted Castro of qualified trafficking after prosecutors failed to prove she was involved in the incorporation of Hongsheng Gaming Technology Incorporated. But Castro remained in detention over a separate anti-money laundering case linked to the alleged misuse of her identity. She was unable to post the bail set by the court. Her freedom may be temporary as she still faces the money laundering case. Castro urges Filipinos not to forget Alice Guo and the Pogo operations, saying ordinary people like her became victims. American marine biologist Kent Carpenter, aged 73, is shot dead in his home in Sibulan, Negros Oriental. Carpenter was an expert witness for the Philippines in the 2016 arbitral award that affirmed the integrity of the country's exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea. Police confirmed 3 unidentified men forcibly entered Carpenter's residence and one shot him in the head, while Carpenter's 34-year-old companion sustained injuries. Police Brigadier General Romano Cardino called the killing a senseless act of violence. Carpenter provided expert written records on the environmental harms of China's reclamation and destructive fishing practices in the West Philippine Sea. The marine scientist also conducted extensive research in the Verde Island Passage and supported the call to designate the passage as a World Heritage Site. In a 2024 video, Carpenter said he had been studying the marine environment in the Philippines since 1975. Actress Bea Alonzo is now married to businessman Vincent Co. Alonzo confirmed the news herself in an Instagram post on Wednesday, July 15. Their wedding was officiated by Makati Mayor Nancy Binay at a ceremony on Tuesday, July 14. Alonzo shared photos of her wedding and Co showing off their wedding rings in front of Binay's office. Alonzo and Co were reportedly supposed to exchange vows in Spain in May, but their wedding was allegedly called off. The cancellation was rumored to have stemmed from unresolved issues involving their prenuptial agreement. Co is the eldest child and only son of tycoons Lucio and Susan Co, who both rank in the top 15 of Forbes' richest Filipinos list. Vincent Co serves as the president of the leading retail chain Puregold. Alonzo, in her own right, is one of the wealthier Filipino actors. She was even recognized by the Bureau of Internal Revenue as one of the top celebrity taxpayers. And that's today's wrap. I'm JC Gotinga. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. For more updates, download the Rappler app.